And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Welcome into RBLR Bucs here on RBLR Sports. I'm Sapp, and I am also delighted to know we are getting closer and closer to the start of another storybook kind of season, and y'all are here for it. The other day, I put a time off request for 4th of July weekend, and I was like, yo, that's kind of soon, which made me think, oh, wow, it's almost July. And then, what? Boom, before we know it, it'll be August, and we can finally see our guys on the field. Well, as always, I am honored and privileged to be accompanied tonight by two amazing people, also my co-host for tonight. Zooming down the Hillsborough River in his pewter red jet ski, splashing anyone repping a Saints tee on Bayshore Boulevard. Santiago, how we doing tonight, man?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing great, Musab. What's up? What's up? How you doing, RBLR Nation? You know, happy to talk some Tampa Bay Buccaneer football, and you know, I'm also happy to be with both you and you know our amazing co-host Carter. So I'm happy. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's talk Bucs ball.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, Santiago, you ain't pulling up alone exactly. In the air, in the RBLR Bucs parasail, we got my fellow co-host gliding in the air. What's going on, Carter? How we doing?
Oh man, you know, the usual, just same old, just, you know, living lavish as usual. Just excited to talk some Bucs football. We're getting real close. Like you mentioned, July 4th coming up. I mean, shoot. Feel like we're in the blink of the eye. June is just flying by. So yeah, definitely exciting stuff. Definitely looking forward to talking some Bucs football with y'all. Let's get this thing cracking.
For real. Tell me all about it. Well, before we get cracking, we want to remind you how much we appreciate you all and have a small wish from you. Whether it be your first time or maybe your 50th time giving us a listen. If you love our content and show us some love and like and subscribe to this podcast, even something like a like would mean so much. All right, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio. We're all on all and, you know, even other major podcast platforms as well. All right. Well, let's just get right into it. Kind of the big updates or the big news. Let's just kind of start with the one that really stood out to me. It was kind of rather sad. No more Gronkowski. He's retired, or I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, the life is full of surprises. His buddy Brady is full of surprises. So I'm gonna take it seriously and say, yeah, I guess it's over. But then again, I feel like there's still maybe an open door. What do y'all think, Carter?
Yeah, I mean, his agent has come out and said that he wouldn't be surprised if Brady made a call and Gronk was back by the middle of the season. There's a bunch of people making jokes that, like, this is just Gronk's way of getting out of training camp. And, like, I don't necessarily doubt that, especially at this point of his life. Gronk is not a young buck. He could just be sitting out the season and then come back for, you know, the last couple of weeks and play in the playoffs. That would be marvelous because the Bucs don't need him taking all those big hits on his body. They need him fresh for the postseason. They're not playing for the regular season. They're playing for the Super Bowl. So, you know, I'm definitely not – I mean, I'm a little upset about it if it ends up actually being a retirement, obviously, because he'll be sorely missed. But I don't see it. I don't see him abandoning the Bucs, abandoning Brady like this. So I'm kind of skeptical about the actual retirement. You know, he's done it before. He's retired and then come back. But who knows? Maybe this is for real. We'll definitely have to see. How about y'all? How are y'all feeling? Are y'all less skeptical about it?
I mean, Gronk's a wild card. So Santiago, what do you think, man?
Yeah, you know, I mean, first is he's won a lot of Super Bowls, and I'm glad that he won one with us. You know, but you know he has to. You know, maybe he wants to spend some time on the beach, you know, go to Clearwater Beach and soak in some of the sun and enjoy, you know, maybe go to Busch Gardens, go on some roller coasters and stuff like that, possibly. But, you know, obviously take some time out with the family. And he even said himself, he's like, one of the main reasons why he came down and returned to football was because, you know, yeah, Tom Brady was here, but, you know, and he heard about Tampa Bay. He didn't really know much about our area, but he's fallen in love with the area. So, I would love for him to come back, but if he's retired, man, he went off into the sunset. So, he got a Lombardi, and but I mean, Gronk, man, go do your thing, man. If you want to go, relax, man, relax. You deserve it, man. You work hard.
I mean, yeah, guys. For me, I think he's a special character, so that's why I'm kind of like, all right, anything is possible with Gronk. Maybe it is kind of his time just to hang up the cleats. I mean, he's had a phenomenal career. Really happy that he was able to join us on the Buccaneers and ball out, get us a Super Bowl. That was amazing. So, other than that, I mean, I'm kind of just like, it was really great having him. It was, I guess, a short legacy, but amazing, amazing for sure. And yeah, that's all it really there is to it. I gotta say though, I repped his jersey last year, and I was like, wow. Now looking back at it, I was like, dang, that one year he comes, joins us, wins a Super Bowl, repping the jersey. I was like, all right, that's a little special for me. But the other news, guys, is Bradley Pinion has been cut from the Buccaneers. So overall thoughts on that? What was your first reaction?
Yeah, I mean, definitely needed. You spend a 4th-round pick on a punter. You don't do it because you're sticking to your current punter. So, yeah, it was kind of expected. It was kind of a foregone conclusion. He had some really good years as a kickoff guy, but good Lord, as a punter, he was really starting to fall off, especially for the price that they were paying for him. So, yeah, to be expected. Wish him well. Seems like a decent dude. Yeah, so we'll definitely see how this new guy comes out. I've been dark on him, but I'm hoping he plays out well. There's only so much a punter can do, really, but it's definitely his time for sure. But this was well expected. The writing was on the wall.
Santiago, what about you, man?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I mean, it's really nice to get paid that type of money, but we definitely have to look towards the future, and hopefully with the 4th-round draft pick that we did get, hopefully, like, I agree with what Carter just said. Like, he better show up and do his job correctly, because if not, he's going to be going somewhere else. But because that's right, we were talking about this before. Like, we could have easily gotten somebody maybe in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, but we started in the 4th. We got in the 4th round. So, but yeah, I mean, have a good time, and in another team, and hopefully it's not in the NFC South, but let's if you go somewhere else, maybe out west or something, see you later.
See you later, indeed. I like that. All right, Santiago. Well, I mean, I was like, yo, listen, this was kind of expected. As with Jake Camarda, of course. So that's I mean, that was kind of just my overall reaction. It was kind of just time for him, or kind of us to make the right move or whatever. And Carter, I do think that you have a right to, be a little dark on him. Well, I think it's just you have the right to be dark on the fact that we got him so early. And all I have to say is we just got to hope that, he kind of, I guess, proves us wrong or whatever, / he's just kind of be maybe like a kind of unsung hero. We'll see him here and there or whatever. That's the only unfortunate part is I feel like I hope people aren't too hard on the fact that we got him so early. But yeah, here's to Jay Camarda, I guess, huh?
Here's to Jake Camarda, indeed. Yeah, I really.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's obviously clearly very talented, and he's going to be an upgrade over Bradley Pinion. That'd be awesome to get some good special teams in there for sure. Help out the defense a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's all we can really kind of hope for. I'm excited to see kind of all these young Bucks kind of going out there. I feel like there's been a lot of changes for the better, of course, and yeah. So, all right, well, gentlemen, it is time. We can call this the great debate / agreement. This is the 2022 RBLR top 10 in Bucks history. So, we got a lot of players I feel like, that are kind of definitely obvious in the top 10, but some, we can say we have our own views on it. Um, so I kind of want to go for someone who I just felt like, was one of the most or more immediate ones, and that was Leroy Selman. Let's just kind of start off with him. For me, if anything, it was kind of just a legacy, paved the way. This was like the first Bucs legend, guys. So now I have to say though, guys, I didn't actually technically have him at number one though, but I know a lot of people out there thinking number one overall, just kind of the pioneer for just paving the way for the rest of our guys to make so much more history and for the Buccaneers to make a name for themselves. But Carter, Santiago, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as far as draft picks go, it's pretty hard to mess up a number one overall pick, and the Bucs certainly did not with Leroy Selman. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. Yeah, well, one I'd say the best Buccaneer to ever do it. Just you got to respect the OGs. I mean, he's a monster. Had an amazing career at Oklahoma, and then he went to the Bucs and just continued his success. So, and then of course, his like you mentioned, he's a legacy guy. He really helped establish the Bucs because it was obviously rough going there for a while in Bucs history. But he at least, he also was the AD at USF. I mean, he has a freaking the Selmon Expressway. I mean, come on, like it's Leroy Selman is Tampa Bay. Like you think of the Bucs, you think of Leroy Selman. At least I do. I don't know about you guys, but yeah. So he's you got to respect the OG. Definitely number one draft pick in Bucs history. It's really hard to ignore him for sure. But Santiago, how about you? I know you had Leroy as number one as well, right?
Yeah, I actually did, and I agree, living in this area, in the Tampa Bay area for such a long time, about 20 years, yeah, man, the Selmon Expressway, and you learn about who it's named after, and it's the first ever draft pick that this franchise, in the history, you're number one ever, so in 1976. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. And he had to deal with a few difficult years in the beginning because the Bucs had a very, very rough start in the beginning, like going 0-26, and it was really rough. But he is a Hall of Famer, and he held the flag, man. That's why we have that saying, raise the flag, because he was the pioneer for that. So, with that creamsicle, before we got into this, into what we have now. So, but yeah, man, playing in the Sombrero, the original stadium here, which I ended up, going to, a few games there, and, driving by it when I first moved to Tampa in '98. I remember going there, and you're thinking of the heat and the humidity, and it's so open and everything. Like, it was tough to play here in this, back in those days. So, but yeah, I agree, he's number one in my books.
Yeah, I see where y'all's head's at. I mean, he really, and Carter, you kind of put the words in my mouth as I was just gonna say. I mean, yeah, he is Tampa. Yeah, from the Selman Expressway and just all of it. You think back at all these kind of guys, current and in the past, and then I was thinking, which ones really had that impact or anything. So, he brought a little bit of that light to the darkness at that time, obviously because we were just starting and whatever. So, but I have to say though, guys, my number one actually was Derek Brooks. It was Leroy Selman right after him though, but Derek Brooks was just that dude, just setting all kinds of records. He was part of, the championship team, and just 11-time Pro Bowler. He did it all really. So I just feel like he was the stud. I feel like that's every guy that everyone or every fan knows, and that's kind of just all really about it for me. It was kind of rather straightforward for me. I was like, wow, if there's anyone in the past who's been a legendary, performer, player, it's Derek Brooks. But Carter, Santiago, where do y'all have him?
Yeah, I had him at number two. I mean, it was it's definitely a tough choice between him and Leroy. I mean, they're both obviously wonderful, wonderful players and seemingly wonderful human beings, more importantly. They've both had such a large impact in the community. I mean, Brooks has done so much with community outreach and everything. So it was an easy 1-2. I gave Leroy the nod just because he was the first Bucs pick. There's kind of a significance to that. But yeah, like you said, had obviously a historic career, Hall of Fame career. He won the Super Bowl with that team in 2002. And yeah, without him, they don't win that Super Bowl. He was the leader of that defense. I mean, he's one of the best linebackers ever. So like, to not only be one of the best linebackers in Bucs history, but of all time in the NFL, you gotta put him at least one or two. So yeah, I'm definitely with you. I mean, I could definitely see you putting him one. He's got Brooks to Bartlett. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy that two guys have such a huge impact on the city of Tampa, and they were both Bucs draft picks. So it's really impressive. But how about you, Santiago? How you feeling about Derek Brooks? Where'd you have him?
Yeah, I honestly had him at number 3. Actually, I have Mike Evans at number 2. But yeah, man, Derek Brooks, one tough player, man. One tough player. That 2002, I was in high school, and man, he just the whole team, not just Derek Brooks, the whole team, they just brought happiness to our area, because for such a long time, we're just known as the losing city, like in anything. It was rough to be a Tampa Bay sports fan in general. But yeah, man, I remember him catching that interception from Rich Gannon in Super Bowl 37 in San Diego, California at Qualcomm Stadium. And, you know, the Bucs won the Super Bowl. The Lombardi's coming back to Tampa Bay. Yeah, man, it was yeah, but I had him at number 3. So I mean, I had Mike Evans at number 2. But yeah, it was awesome player. He's a I'm glad he's in the Hall of Fame as well. So can't but
For
all
me,
these
I mean,
players.
it was just like he was just that vital piece to that championship team, and just his whole career was absolutely just so dominant. He really did it all. He was all around, everywhere, and I think he was just because of that just so memorable. But on top of that, I mean, we'll go on to actually, yeah, we'll go on to Mike Evans. I'm glad you brought him up. So Santiago, you had Mike Evans at number 2, and yeah, why is that?
Yeah, I just the reason why is because he's just breaking records, man. Like he's holding that. His name is gonna be in the Ring of Honor easily, man. Right when he retires, he's gonna be. He's not just gonna be. He is right now one of the greatest Tampa Bay Buccaneers ever. Coming out of Texas A&M. I remember the whole hype about that draft that Mike Evans was in was Johnny Manziel. And look where Johnny Manziel's at. And then everybody thought like, oh, we want John. And everybody was on that hype train, But the Bucs, with the organization that we have, they're like, no, we're gonna go with the other player on Texas A&M, which is Mike Evans, and he hasn't disappointed at all. He's just exceeded everything, like
Oh,
with
for
all these.
sure.
Yeah, so and also I'm super happy that he won a Lombardi, and that the greatest of all time. Tom Brady said, I want to go to Tampa Bay, Florida. I want to go to Tampa Bay because I want to play with players like, and he first said Mike Evans, and it's just, yeah, man. Number 13. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, he's been iconic. But Carter, thoughts on him? Where did you have him?
Yeah, I had him at number 3. I mean, he's like Santiago just said. You really can't overstate the impact that he's had on the Bucs offense. I mean, he's had 1,000 yards receiving every season he's been in the NFL. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like he's setting records. There's not really much more you can say. But he's also starting to become a leader in the community too. It's really great that the Bucs, like these first 3 guys, were just so easy for me to pick. At least I don't know about y'all, but they're just so easy because they're so likable. Mike Evans seems like a really nice guy. He's got his own charitable foundations as well. So it's a really, I don't mean to sound like a Bucs PR guy, but it was a really easy first three for me. They're kind of interchangeable. Yeah, like Santiago said, just a really amazing career. If Mike Evans retired right now, he'd already be the best Bucs offensive player ever. He's already there, and he's just going to continue because he's still got Brady throwing passes to him. So shit, there's no reason why he can't go for another 1,000-yard season this year. So yeah, but how about you, Masab? How are you feeling about him?
Yeah, look, guys, Mike Evans, all these guys we already mentioned before, these guys are just absolute studs. These ones always stand out no matter how amazing the team is or no matter how bad the team is. And Mike Evans over 1,000 yards in every season. He's like a seasoned veteran now. He's been balling out. Super, super important player on our team. And clearly, I think he's definitely one of the best, if not the best receiver right now in the league. He's the kind of dude that, you got to be double teaming out there. So, but I have to say though, guys, he was my number 4. All right. The reason why he's my number 4 is because I got Rondé Barber. At number 3. The only reason, again, just because I think Mike Evans definitely has plenty of time to bump up there for sure. I think they can easily trade spots, something like that. But for me, it's kind of just looking back and seeing, what kind of dude Rondé Barber was. Absolute kind of shutdown cornerback. The team was hot, and big thanks to him, of course. Interception leader. I mean, all kinds of other stats. He was way ahead of everyone else. You should know that. And I came to find that out, when I was kind of looking back at all these players, and I was like, wow, how do these guys really perform stat by stat? The next guy closest to him, I came to find out just through Pro Football Reference, actually, was Donnie Abraham with 31 picks, and he got 47. So it's a big difference for sure. He was absolutely incredible, and like guys we already mentioned before, like Derek Brooks, big key member of that 2002 championship team. But what are your thoughts on them? Where would you put Rondé Barber?
Yeah, so I had Rondé at 4. Or excuse me, I had Rondé at 5. My apologies. I had Rondé at 5, but he could definitely be 4. I mean, like you mentioned, interceptions leader. He also made that transition to safety towards the end of his career. And obviously he was a key member of that Bucs Super Bowl team. Without him, they definitely don't win it. He's definitely a monster corner, by far and away the best secondary player in Bucs history. Yeah, there's not really much else you can say. Another guy that seems like a really good dude, so that makes another kind of an easy inclusion. But yeah, Rondé, I mean, yeah, what more can you say? Him and his brother, both just tremendous players in the NFL. Him and his brother Tiki, obviously. So yeah, really easy inclusion with the best draft picks in Bucs history. But Santiago, how about you? Where do you have Rondé?
Yeah, I actually had Rondé at number 6, so I had some other players ahead of him. But yeah, man, I remember seeing that NFC Championship game in 2002 versus the Eagles, and that place in that stadium, we shut it down. And who shut it down? Rondé Barber. Interception on Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb runs it all the way, like 90 yards, and touchdown. And we're going, and they were so they're like, we're gonna win it in our stadium. No, the Eagles fans thought that. Nope, we won it. We shut it down. You guys didn't go off into the sunset. You guys stayed home in the cold weather in Philadelphia while we went and dropped the NFC Championship trophy in Tampa and then flew to San Diego to pick up the Lombardi. So yeah, and then we were dominant in that in the game, with the, for in the Super Bowl. So I mean, I had him at number 6 actually. At number 4, no, I'm sorry, at number 3, because that's where we're at right now. I had Warren Sapp.
All right. I like that. Well, I actually had, I put Warren Sapp at 5th. And I mean, it's kind of straightforward for me. And that's just because, look, the guy's an all-time sack leader, but mind you, he wasn't your kind of typical kind of edge rusher kind of dude. So this guy was, again, another key piece to that championship team. And I don't know, just an overall phenomenal dude and someone to be remembered for sure. That's kind of straightforward for me. My first 5 were kind of just, Carter, as you were saying, for me, it was my first five. When you were thinking top three, it was kind of top five for me. I had to throw in Evans just because, I mean, the dude's been balling out. But then all these kind of guys from the past, I wanted to give them a shout out, of course, just for so much they did in the past. So, but Carter, what about you? Warren Sapp, where's your head at with him?
So I actually had him at 7. Yeah, I mean, he was obviously a wonderful interior lineman, a great player. Him and Simeon Rice were tremendous in their year. That Super Bowl run. Yeah, I mean, he's a great defensive lineman. He's a Hall of Famer. 96 plus sacks in his career. Not much else you can say about him. I actually had Levante David at 4, and then Barber at 5. But we'll get into Levante later on. But yeah, I mean, Sapp was obviously one of the stalwarts of that defense. Without him, they don't have a guy plugging up the holes or getting after the quarterback. So yeah, he was definitely an important piece of that team. Santiago, how are you feeling about Warren Sapp?
Yeah, man, I agree. He was a beast. That's just, he was literally dominant. And when Warren Sapp was out on the field, that there were going to be sacks. A running back was going to be on his back. Warren Sapp. I remember him playing against, obviously the greatest show on turf, right? And versus the St. Louis Rams, and he had these tremendous battles against Brett Favre, Kurt Warner. Michael Vick, the year we won the Super Bowl, everybody was talking about Michael Vick and, oh, Michael Vick is this, Michael Vick is that. And he came down to Tampa and we stopped him. And, Warren Sapp was definitely one of the big reasons why we stopped him, and then, yeah, he helped us. He was one of the key players to help us get to that first Lombardi, that first ring. So, yeah, man, world champs 2 times. 2 times.
He was, I mean, the way I could just summarize it, he was a bully for sure. Honestly, that's what it was. It's hard stopping a guy as big as him. That's kind of the way I see it. But I'm going to keep it real with y'all, Carter and Santiago. If there is one person I would rank above all these dudes, no matter who they are, it would be any individual who reps RBLR sports. And how does one become that much better than all these guys and have them as number one? Well, it's because they went on over to shop.rblrsports.com and snagged some sick designs. All right, we got some hot feature products right now for every occasion, especially those times now where you're thinking, ugh, I don't have any football gear, any hockey gear, any baseball gear, any soccer gear, to rep my home team. Well, shop.rblrsports has it all for you. We got some cool tank tops, tees, stickers, sweatshirts, even face masks who honor all the legendary teams we got here in the city of Tampa Bay. All right. Sharing is caring, so let me share with you a promo code that is Cannons, CANNONS, for 10% off your order. Now, gentlemen, can you share with me your thoughts on John Lynch? Where do you have him on your list, Carter?
Yeah, so John Lynch I actually had right at number 6, so it falls kind of in line with the list. Obviously, a third-round pick like John turning into a Hall of Fame player for your team is pretty tough. Like, that's really good. Excellent draft choice, excellent value there at where he was picked. And, obviously another key contributor to that 0-2 Super Bowl team. I feel like we're kind of repeating ourselves here, but, hey, the 0-2 Super Bowl team is good because they built a great team through the draft. And, that's obviously Barber, Brooks, Sapp, and Lynch. So, yeah, easy choice at number 6. Some people might have had him higher, and I understand that for sure. He's definitely a wonderful player, had a great career. But Santiago, how are you feeling about John Lynch?
Yeah, John Lynch, I actually had him at number 4 after my Warren Sapp pick. So, yeah, man, I even got a creamsicle John Lynch jersey, So it's like, man, yeah, he was a beast, I remember seeing the Super Bowl, documentary of the Bucs 2002, and he called a play against Rich Gannon, and he's like, slug on C, and it was picked off by us, and it was like, yeah, money, I got slug on C, didn't I? I called it, man. I called it. So it's just, and he was always pumped. He had one tremendous career here. Then he went off to Denver, but, yeah, man, John Lynch, he was here before, Warren Sapp, he was, when he was playing for the Bucs, and man, yeah, man, can't say much. He's definitely one of those big pillars, that, we've named some amazing players, and I'm glad that here in this, in our team, we have a huge list of Hall of Famers, and it's still going to keep growing because, that's what we do. We make Hall of Famers, and we're gonna add another Lombardi. Watch, and it's gonna be, and it all started with the 2002. So
All right,
that's
all
the
right.
first.
Hell yeah, I love the optimism, Santiago. Guys, I had him at number 6, just because, I mean, the guy, he's actually done a few things as well. But, I mean, look, he balled out, of course, with the championship team. He was 9-time Pro Bowl safety. Just someone who just really stood out. And that's kind of really about it, from football player to, even hopping on Fox and then, to the 49ers as a general manager. I mean, it's kind of really cool, and it's just like legendary. When I'm thinking about all these guys, I'm like, who the legends? Who are people who really balled out, but kind of had a really big impact, and that's kind of really about it for me. That's why I have him at number 6. I mean, by all means, he was a great performer, and I do have some people ahead of him, but he's up there for sure. Top 10, he's definitely top 10 for me. That's why I have him at number 6. But anything else about him, guys?
No, I think we're good. I think we're ready to move on to number 7.
Move on to who I call the bus. Guys, where do y'all put Mike Alstott? All right, just because another special kind of guy. I mean, we're talking fullback. So Carter, where did you rank him?
I had Alstott at 7. At 8. But yeah, I mean, he was a monster in his day. Like you said, the bus just running people over. I mean, he's other than Kyle Juszczyk for the 49ers, he's probably one of the most memorable fullbacks. Maybe I'm biased because, growing up in Tampa, you always hear about Mike Alstott, but he's one of the few like fullbacks that like you hear their name and you're like, oh shoot, like yeah, I was that guy. But the fullback position, they're kind of unsung heroes. They do a lot of the dirty work, but fortunately he got some carries. He was able to put together quite a career. Develop quite a reputation as a runner as well. And yeah, I mean, Mike Alstott, he's definitely a Bucs legend for sure. But how about you, Santiago? How are you feeling about Mike Alstott?
Yeah, I actually had him at number 7. So I mean, and the most famous, he's had so many, touchdowns, but I mean the most famous run. I mean, you can go on YouTube right now. You can put Mike Alstott, and it's the run that he had here in Tampa versus the Cleveland Browns. Like literally, with that run is the definition of what we love about him here in Tampa Bay is the A train, because he was boom, boom, boom. Like they were knocking him down, trying to strip that ball out of his hands. And man, he went up like 15, 20 yards at least. It was an amazing run, like unbelievable. Like anybody that, we have passion in this podcast, but anybody that loves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you got to watch that. Just go on YouTube and watch that. And you're going to be admired at, he just was fighting for yards, man. That's what, tremendous player, Hall of Famer for sure, and he's in the local area here, he was at, I believe it in St. Pete, Northside Christian, head coach down there, I mean, yeah, man, I had him at number 7 for sure.
Well, I'm right there with you, Santiago. Yeah, I had him at 7 as well. Just again, I mean, one of the best kind of offensive players in our franchise history. And just so unique, just because, as a fullback, you got to be a jack of all trades kind of dude. And that's what he was. A phenomenal player. And, it just, the chemistry with him and the rest of the guys on our team, it just worked out so well. And he's led a big impact, on the city, the team, everything. And yeah, the fact that he's like a local hero at Northside. I'm glad you kind of brought that up. I didn't know that, Santiago. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool indeed. But well, for me, I wanted to squeeze Levante David in this top 10. I know y'all got him in this top 10 as well. But Carter, we'll kind of start off with you. Where's your head at? Where would you rank him?
Yeah, I actually had Levante David at 4, and that seems a bit generous, but I don't know, man. It's just David's just been such an underrated guy. He's one of the best linebackers in the NFL. He has been pretty much his whole career, and no one really talks about him. So I just felt like I had to give him some love. He's just kind of quiet. He just goes about his business, not really super flashy. Yeah, I love Levante David. I mean, without Levante David, he's been through some tough times. I mean, before Brady got here, he was having to deal with, the Mike Glennon era, the Jameis Winston era. It was some tough sledding for those teams, and he was kind of him and Gerald McCoy were kind of two of the few bright spots of that team. And he's obviously, the Bucs have been one of the best, if not the best, rush defense in the NFL for the past seemingly 3 or 4 years. And Levante David is probably one of the bigger reasons for that. So yeah, you can't talk about this run that the Bucs have been on for the past couple of years. Obviously, you mentioned Brady and Evans and Gronk and all these guys, but you can't forget about Levante David, man. That guy's he's definitely an elite linebacker, and I just don't think I don't know. I don't think he gets enough credit, but maybe I'm giving him too much credit.
I was literally just gonna say that, Carter.
Right.
Do you think that people like, Levante David or even McCoy as well, but Levante David specifically, he's fought through these tough times with, as you said, Glennon and Winston and all that. Do you think that those kind of things, the fact that obviously our team overall wasn't kind of balling out, doing really well, do you think that kind of affected the fact that, maybe people didn't give him the credit that he earned or deserved? Because
Right.
obviously, these kind of things stand out, of course, when you win the Super Bowl. You're like, oh my God, what a phenomenal team. Shout out,
Sure.
Brady, White. I mean, shout out everyone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, especially, shout out White, shout out David, a little dynamic duo. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I just want to kind of squeeze him in the top 10. For me, it was just like, listen, he has so much more in store. And I know he's going to do phenomenal. But, that was kind of just like, I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like there were some other kind of, people up there as well before him. So that's kind of really about it for me, though. But Santiago, what about you? Thoughts on Levante David?
Yeah, I had Levante David at number 8. So, I remember when he won the Super Bowl. Yeah, he's a beast in Louisiana. And he said that I saw him in that documentary that, every year that when you win the Super Bowl, they talk to certain players. And he's like, the reason why he has so much strength is because when he was younger, he would always, he's a country boy, right? So he would always, he lived on a farm and he would, move bales of hay. And he said he gained that strength by moving that, and it was like the year of the Super Bowl. They were playing against, we were playing against Carolina, and he dragged some player. I forgot who it was. I'm not sure if it was running back or wide receiver or something, but he dragged some player, and somebody asked him, like, how do you have that strength? He's like, man, that's what I did. And he loves horses. And after he won the Super Bowl, I remember like he was here at Ray J, and they showed him on a clip that he was like with the Lombardi Trophy, celebrating with his horse and stuff. So, and he seems like a really cool dude. So, but yeah, man, he's definitely these last couple of years. Yeah, man, he's definitely been one of our best players for sure. But yeah, I had him at number 8, so I'm happy that he's still a Buck, man. He's been here on like all these players that we've been naming. They've all been through tough times because we're a team. But we've done with the 2 Super Bowl championships. Those are well deserved, man. The well deserved victories. Dominant. I don't think there's been a team in the Super Bowl like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that have dominated in their Super Bowl games. Like we dominated the, Oakland Raiders, 48-20, 21, 27. And then we dominated, Patrick Mahomes 31-9. It was just not even close. Like, yeah, man.
It was an iconic run for sure, and he was definitely a pivotal player on that championship team. I mean, for me, I guess it was kind of just maybe I was playing a little bit hardball with him. I could definitely see him up there for sure. I don't think you're being too generous though, like Carter. But I guess for me, it was just like I want to give some other positions some love, some other kind of legends some love. So that's why I just kind of have him just like kind of fighting at the 10th. And that kind of leads me to my next guy, which is Warren, Warwick Dunn, who I had at number 10. For me, it was kind of just like, he was like the little dynamic duo with Alstott, and it just everything worked out real well. It's a little shame that, he kind of left prior to that Super Bowl championship team or that year. But overall, just for me, he was a legendary performer, someone I feel like, you got to remember, especially the fact that him and, Alstott were just balling out together. Things were kind of looking pretty decent at that time because of people like them. So that's why I got him at number 10, though. But Carter, what about you, man? Where do you have him?
Yeah, I had him at 9. And I think, he was just such a great running back, 2-time Pro Bowler during his time with the Bucs. Unfortunately, he went to the Falcons, the Dirty Birds. Ugh. But, that's how it be sometimes. Yeah, like you mentioned, I was it's tough that he didn't get that ring. It's tough he didn't get to participate in that 0-2 run, but, he still had a wonderful career. He's also emerged as a really wonderful philanthropist outside of the game of football. He builds homes for lower income people, and it's just a wonderful thing. It's easy to pick guys like that for these lists because you're like, oh, well, he's a good dude, so it's all good. So yeah, I love work done. He was a wonderful back. He was a first round pick for good reason. Yeah, I mean, how are you feeling about him, Santiago? How do you remember Warwick Dunn?
Yeah, man. I remember Warwick Dunn. I remember when I was in high school here, back a long time ago, I entered high school in '99, and Warwick Dunn was in Florida State. He was a Seminole, and I remember, the rivalry back then, Seminoles and Gators. It was always heated. It was like literally primetime football when those two players, and Florida State was definitely dominant in college football, like Alabama is now and Georgia is right now. But Florida State held the flag high for the ACC. And Warwick Dunn was definitely one of those reasons. And yeah, first round draft pick. I remember seeing him live on TV. When I moved here in 1998, and the old Sombrero, the old stadium was up, and it was primetime television, and I saw him in that Bucs, new uniform and stuff, and they played against the Miami Dolphins, and he was just like running all over the Miami Dolphins, and we won here, and it was like wow, yeah, and he didn't last too long, with us, but yeah, Warwick Dunn, I actually had other than Warwick Dunn, I had Vita Vea, as my pick. For number 9, I had Vita Vea. I didn't have Warwick Dunn on my list, but yeah, Warwick Dunn, yeah, man. I saw him.
Santiago, do you think maybe if he, didn't head on over to our rivals in Atlanta, do you think there's a possibility, you maybe could have put him in the top 10, maybe, in the middle or maybe in the late, whatever, just because, he stayed with the team, championship team, just an iconic performance, maybe perhaps what happened between him and Alstott and the rest of the guys, or no, do you
Yeah.
just think that you would still have some guys ahead of him?
No, I would, I would have possibly put him up there. Why not? I mean, like, he was a first round draft pick for a reason, that's why every year they always say that, I believe like from rounds 1 through 7, when you get selected, you're a top player. That's how I look at it, but first round draft picks are first round draft picks. And that's why, all these analysts on ESPN and ESPN, all over, CBS and stuff for NFL here with the NFL, they analyze statistics like we do ourselves. Here at RBLR Sports, we analyze, and we will bring to you the best coverage here on who we think the Bucs should draft. And back then, before RBLR Sports, right? But back then, he was drafted for a reason. So it would have been nice for him, with what he's done, even as a good person that he is, it would have been awesome for him to win a Super Bowl with us. But he decided he left early. So I mean, but
It is what it is, I guess. But I have to say, though, I think for me at least, he was definitely up there for sure. That's why I just kind of sneaked him in the top 10. Just again, just another kind of Bucks legend. Overall, he was a stud out there when he was with us. So that's why I'm really happy with him. And I want to give a little bit of running back love, just because I just do think so. And I want to toss in James Wilder Sr. All right. The reason why is just because, I don't want to forget people like him. And, look, football was different back then, of course. But, look, he is the leader in rushing yards on our team. And there's a reason for that. Just phenomenal. Every single year. For me, it was just consistency. Things were way different back then. The Buccaneers were making a name for themselves. Not many studs. He was another kind of pioneer to pave the way for the rest of our guys, of course. And that's why I have him at number 8. But do you all have any kind of thoughts on James Wilder or no? Carter, we'll start off with you.
Yeah, I mean, he's another OG. You got to respect him for sure. The all-time rushing leader.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely could have included him on my list. I unfortunately did not. I put Martin Gramatica at 10, but yeah, I mean, Wilder. I mean, he had that single game where he had 43 carries. It was a record at the time, but 43 carries. Imagine that. I mean, nowadays, I don't think you could go 2 games or 3 games without seeing 43 carries from a team. I mean, from a team, much less a player. It was just, yeah, it was a really different time for sure. But still, he's first in Buccaneer history in rushing yards and rushing attempts, and he was in receptions for a while. But obviously Evans has come along and since broke that record. But yeah, just a really phenomenal player in a really really dark time in Bucs history. So there's something to be said for that, sure, for sure. Going out there and playing hard like he did, despite the fact that maybe there wasn't a lot to play for. But how about you, Santiago? How you feel about it?
yeah, man. He spent 8 years here with us in from the early '80s. 81 to '89. So I was born '84, and guess what? He was a Pro Bowl back in '84. So that was the year. Like so. I mean, yeah, man. All the rushing yards, the receptions, the receiving yards. Man, he's a top player. So you know, I could have. It's just I was thinking of players that because I've seen a lot of amazing players on our from years of playing with us. So he was just like maybe I had him like 11, 12. I did not put him in the top 10 because I just had that stacked right there. So, but he was definitely up, after that for in my list specifically. So yeah, definitely. He didn't really last that many years in the NFL, but all the majority of the time he spent was with here in Tampa. So he's an OG, so you got to represent, like Carter was saying right now. You got to respect the OGs. They paved the way. They were wearing the creamsicles before. People thought the creamsicles were like hideous. They were like awful. They made fun of us, like, oh, look at them creamsicle jerseys, uniforms. Like, but nowadays people love wearing the creamsicles. Like, they're bringing back the creamsicles this year, and Brady's going to be wearing them. And our team's going to be. So it's going to be. I'm wearing a creamsicle. I love my creamsicle Bucko Bruce hat. So, and I got a creamsicle John Lynch jersey. So I mean, like, I love repping that everywhere I go. We have a lot of history here. So
what I took from that is you don't like creamsicle, right, Santiago?
I do like creamsicle. I really do. I'm just saying, like,
Oh, okay. My
people
apologies. Thank
were
you for
saying
clarifying
like
that
that
for me.
we had horrible jerseys and people would make fun of them, but
No,
I
hey,
definitely
listen.
wouldn't.
Yeah. Oh, Oh, I agree with you, and yeah, you're definitely right. Hey, they made fun of us back then, but look at us now, man. We're two-time champions, and they hate us because they ain't us. But hey, listen, I also want to add on. For me, it was kind of, I guess, just someone you got to remember. Carter, you brought up those tough times with that someone like Levante David went through from the Glennon days to the Winston days. And during that time, there was also another gentleman by the name of Gerald McCoy, and that's who I actually have at number 9 for me. What? Again, an absolute beast. It was sad to see him go, but I wish he was able to stay and get a chip with us. Again, with the other guys I mentioned earlier, consistency. Again, our team was known for those kind of ups and up and downs or whatever, but he was always out there balling out for sure. And honestly, I'm kind of just thankful we were able to kind of have him. At least, you know, we weren't completely horrible, but we had some ugly days, ugly games or whatever. But he was always all out there. Again, listen, this guy's third on Bucs all-time sacks list. So again, just someone you got to remember for sure. Obviously, he wasn't with us forever. Slash, it's not like he won a championship with us, but definitely someone I want to give a shout out for sure, just because again, he's gotten a lot of All-Pro recognition as well. And you got to remember, it's just you know it's a competitive league out there, and the fact that someone like him has been so consistent stands out for me. So obviously things are a little different though. But Carter, Santiago, did you all have him on our list? Yes or no? And then I guess maybe why?
I didn't have him on my list. He was definitely a thought. Like I definitely had to think about him for sure. But yeah, I mean, he was always, like you mentioned, always all out. Him and David were the two kind of lone bright spots of that defense, because that defense, as bad as those offenses were, the defenses were almost worse. Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely tough. It's tough to name 10 players in a franchise's history that they drafted. I mean, it's a tough thing to leave some guys out. I know Santiago mentioned Vita Vea. I also had Martin Gramatica, the kicker, up there because I mean, he had a 82% field goal percentage, if I remember correctly, during their Super Bowl run. And, as Bucs fans know, kicking is incredibly important. We've had to see some god awful kickers come through the ranks in a Bucs uniform. So yeah, I mean, all these guys are just such Bucs legends. They're all phenomenal players, and Gerald McCoy's one of them. He was a first round pick for a reason. So yeah, McCoy's definitely a valid inclusion. Santiago, how you feel about Gerald McCoy?
Yeah, I mean Gerald McCoy, you're right. I agree with what Carter just said. He went through some tough times. I mean, he was, very frustrated, and he ended up he ended up going to a rival. He went up going to Carolina, but maybe things happen for a reason. We can always say maybe, but he went somewhere else. So I mean, when he was here, him and Levante were, they were holding it down for the defense because I agree with what Carter just said as well. Jameis Winston, it was really tough, having him throw 30 touchdowns and we were cheering, and then 30 interceptions and we were booing. So it was very, very rough to see that. But, I didn't have him on my top 10. I like Carter just said, I said earlier, I had Vita Vea, because Vita Vea is just a beast, man. He's a beast of a player. And, but
Santiago, after Warwick done, all right. I want to know:
yeah,
is this the second guy who maybe you would say, okay, maybe I would actually put him in the top 10 if he stayed longer with us? Yes or no?
I would say yes, because he's a big guy, man. He's a big guy, and he looks like a really nice guy. Like he looks like a cool guy that you could possibly go up to and say, hey, Joe McCoy, rocking his jersey and stuff or whatever, and then say, hey, can I get an autograph? And I don't know, man, but he seems like a cool guy that he'd be like, if he's on a good day, he's like, yeah, here's an autograph, so, he's always seems to be, when I've seen him in interviews and friendly, videos, like, highlights and stuff, like a friendly guy for sure. So I would have said yes.
Carter, what about you, man?
Yeah. I mean, if he would have definitely, if he would have stayed around, stuck around for the Super Bowl, he would have been tough to leave off this list. But yeah, going to the Panthers and the Cowboys just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So yeah, I mean, for sure you could include him if he sticks around a little bit longer. But as it stands now, I just can't really put him up there.
I see. Okay, okay. No, hey, listen, I see where y'all's heads at. I can respect that. At least it was just for me. It was just like, I put this list more just like, guys, you just gotta remember out there, who kind of, who really did something or have done something. So and hey, listen, you've been mentioning it, Santiago, you got Vita Vea on this list. I agree with you. I definitely do think that, I mean, he's got a whole he's got a I think he has many years ahead of him for sure. And I think he can definitely squeeze in this top 10 for sure. I mean, we got so many legends out there. Just, it gets harder and harder to decide these things, though. But Santiago, why did you have him in your top 10?
I had Vita Vea in my top 10 because one, he's a big boy. He's a big man from the island of Tonga. You know what I mean? And the islands out there, they're well known for rugby. You know what I mean? So they are well known to hit and get hit. You know, Australia, New Zealand. With the haka dance and stuff like that. So, I know he's got that tribal, warrior type of blood in him. So, he's definitely was born, to play this game, and he's a big boy. He's a very big boy. And I'm glad he's on our team. Definitely would not want to play against him at all. He's such a massive player that, you know, that it's just, he's a big guy. He was, man, he was drafted back in 2018. Already is a Super Bowl champion. He's a Pro Bowler. You know, he got a total of 106 tackles. 11.5 sacks. Man, he's a big guy. He can get to the quarterback. But yeah, man, it's he's definitely. That's why I picked him. I really did pick him. He reminds me of a Warren Sapp from back in the day. Because I remember Warren Sapp, and obviously it would be Simeon Rice, but he's a bigger version of Warren Sapp. Like, imagine Warren Sapp and Vita Vea on a line, man. That is just scary right there. That would be scary, man. That would be amazing. That would be unbelievable.
Oh,
Quarterbacks would be like running at him.
I would pay to see that for sure, though. But yeah, I'm right there with you, Santiago. I think the guy is definitely real, real special. Carter, how do you feel about him, though? Did you have him on your top 10 or not?
I did not, but give him a few years and he'll probably work his way up there. Especially with the
Yeah,
way
that's what
Miami.
I was thinking as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's a monster, like Santiago was saying. Not a lot of guys possess his size and quickness and explosiveness. So, yeah, give him a few years, he'll be up there for sure.
Right on, right on. Well, I do want to say though, Carter, I do recall that you wanted to give a shout out to Martin Gramatica, of course. And I just want to know, why do you have him on your top 10? And kind of just his impact and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, kicking's an incredibly important part of the game, as the Bucs have found out. The Bucs got Ryan Suckup, my man, and he's been great. And Martin Gramatica kind of played a similar role in the 0-2 run. So yeah, the fact that they drafted him just it's kind of like, oh, well, you kind of got to include him now. But yeah, that was my main reason for including him.
No, hey, listen, hey, kickers need some love for sure. Santiago, you got any thoughts on Martin Gramatica?
Yeah, I actually had Martin Gramatica at number 10 as well. So,
All
I
right.
mean, he comes from Argentina. Argentina is well known for soccer, super passionate, country in soccer specifically, of course. But, that he wanted to test himself in a completely different sport that is, yes, it has kicking, but it's completely different rules, completely different, different game overall, right? And to be successful in it, and winning, the Super Bowl, because in soccer you have the World Cup, but obviously World Cup is with your country though, but the equivalent, the Super Bowl is the holy grail, so it's yeah, man, he's definitely out there. He's possibly the best kicker that we've had on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he's he was clutch. He was clutch. And I remember back in 2002, we went up to Chicago, played against the Bears, and the only scoring that was a low scoring game because it was snowing. It was like very, very cold. I mean, I saw that game on TV, and we won by 3 with 3 field goals from Martin Gramatica. And yeah, man, Ryan Succop's doing it now, but Martin was back in the day. He's the one that planted the flag. So
Oh
so
yeah,
I have him on my
no, for
top 10.
sure. I listen. I would definitely see as to why y'all have him in the top 10, just because first of all, yeah, kickers need some love, but yeah, and again, just another kind of Buccaneer you got to remember, especially with that championship run. You can't forget how important kickers can be throughout the whole season, especially in the playoffs. But uh, Carter, any final thoughts? Anything else? We gone over our top 10, tossed in a few honorable mentions, but you got anything else to before we wrap it up?
Oh, we forgot Roberto Aguayo. Oh man, can't believe we forgot him.
Oh my gosh. How could we forget about him? My
Sorry.
apologies.
No, yeah, that's really it. It's a tough list to come up with because there are so many great ones, but that's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to have with your favorite sports team. So, yeah, how about y'all? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we could have gone with more players. You know what I mean? And if we would have done, man, possibly Chris Godwin. Devin White. JPP and Dominican Sue. There's this player. Our team has Hall of Famers, a long list of Hall of Famers. And it's awesome. It is awesome.
Oh yeah. No, hey, this has been fun, guys. I gotta say, I do like that. We all kind of had different views. I feel like that made it a little bit, gave it a little bit more pizzazz. Yeah, I'm right there, Santiago. I'm really glad you brought that out. I'm right there with y'all on the fact that we have plenty of players right now on our team who definitely have a chance of making it in the top 10. So love it. I love it. Well, hey, listen, listeners, it's time to leave, but I want to leave you on a positive note, of course. But before I get you all hyped up, as always, we can't possibly end this episode without thanking all y'all. Seriously. And if you enjoyed this episode and you want to support us, please do. Please do share with others, post it on social media, leave a rating and review. That would mean so much. Seriously. And to catch all the latest, you can follow us on Instagram at RBLR Sports, Twitter, RBLR Sports. We're on Facebook as well. And you made it to the end, and we appreciate that. Don't forget to show us some love. All right, like and subscribe, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube. We're on it all. All right. Well, you should know, listeners, there are 3 kind of people in this world. All right. Number 1, those who wish they were from Tampa or supported the Buccaneers. Then there's a second population, those Tampa fans who say they're excited, but let's just be honest, they're lying to themselves. And then there's this third prideful herd of fans who have been constantly yapping about the Bucs. They're repping the Bucs everywhere they go, and most importantly, like us here at RBLR, they're fired up and ready. Don't be number 1 or 2. All right. You know what they say, first is the worst, second thinks they're the best, but deep down we all know the third is the one with that treasure chest. All right, so be number 3. Don't settle for anything less. All right, on the real though, that's all for now, folks. Thanks again, and as always, go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.